Good evening to you all. Today, in the 10th episode, we'll be talking about Surah Al-Anaam. Indeed, Allah is the cleaver of grain and date seeds. He brings the living out of the dead and brings the dead out of the living. That is Allah, so how are you deluded? This means that God brings forth plants from seeds. So, you plant a seed in the ground, and what happens? It grows into a very good plant. And trees also come from seeds. You put the seed in the ground, and what comes out? A tree grows like, for example, a mango tree, an apple tree, something like that. Very good. And he brings forth a living human from a lifeless drop of fluid. And he brings forth the lifeless drop from the living human. So here he is saying, the commentator says, how can you disbelieve in God? So how are you deluded after all this? That's the whole point of the verse. Of course, I don't really know how the drop is considered lifeless, but let's go along with it. The source here is Fath al-Qadir by al-Shawkani. Honestly, I want to say that starting from this verse, which is verse 95 and onwards, it has nothing to do with the previous two episodes, 8 and 9, and the verse itself has no connection to episodes 8 and 9 or what came before them. Those two episodes, or the last 20 verses, were about the prophets Abraham, Noah, their descendants, and things like that. It was as if they were a snapshot or a separate section within Surah Al-Anaam. We suddenly entered into them and suddenly exited without any introduction. In those two episodes, it was also talking about God in the third person. And as long as this discussion continues in the third person, I naturally have to point it out, and as long as it continues, I will keep mentioning it. Who is the one speaking about God in the third person in the verse? All right, so what is actually being said here? It says, he brings forth the living from the dead and brings forth the dead from the living. I want to set this aside completely for a few seconds. You get it? And then I'll bring it back again. So, what does it say? It says, indeed, Allah is the cleaver of grain and date seeds. He brings forth the living from the dead and the dead from the living. What would happen to the text if we didn't repeat brings forth? Is it just normal because the Quran? For me, the language of the Quran is always a language that tends toward conciseness and eloquence. But here, honestly, I see that there is repetition. Say, he is the cleaver of daybreak and has made the night for rest, and the sun and the moon for calculation. That is the determination of the Almighty, the All-Knowing. So, what's the issue here? Here, honestly, there are some people who read it as Jailaha, they read it as Jael, just like that, exactly. Sorry, I mean, they made it Jael al-Lail, let me show you, meaning the creator and the maker, and I'll tell you the source, it's good. That's very good talk. That was the recitation. So, what's the meaning? What's the meaning? It means that God created the night for rest and tranquility, and created the sun and the moon, or the moon, so that they move according to a known calculation or measure. For what purpose? For the people, right? Or so that people can know the number of years. And the calculation, how much is that? This is a sea of knowledge. It's still numbered. Why is it an active participle, phallic, and why is it a verb? Why isn't it Jael, the one who makes, like the group who read it as Jael? Like, and he is the one who made for you the stars, so that you may be guided by them in the darkness of the land and the sea. We have certainly explained the signs for people who know. The meaning is that God created the stars so you can follow their guidance in the darkness of the land and the sea. When you travel by sea or by land, you use these stars to light your way. And he also created the sun so you can find your way by its light during the day, and the planets so you can know how to travel at night, to find the Qibla and all these things through the light of the stars and planets, all of that. What is the source here in verse 97? It is Lubab Alto al Faimani al Tanzil by Al-Khazin. The truth is, here too, the matter really grabs your attention even more. Well, okay, that's a third-person pronoun, and it is Allah who made. He made okay, that's very strong wording. You may be guided by them in the darkness of the land and the sea. At the end, he comes back and says, we have explained a first-person pronoun. We have explained Allah. So what's stopping you from saying, and we are the ones who? And we are the ones who made the stars for you so that you may be guided by them. Or, we have explained, or he is the one who made the night for you. And then you come at the end and say it like that. Here it is, we have explained. He says, thus we have explained the verses for a people who know. I mean, give me a path. Give me one way to follow. Is the speech about Allah in the third person? Is he talking about himself in the third person, or is he talking about himself in the first person? Why does he talk about himself in two ways in a single verse, once in the third person, twice in the third person, and once in the first person? That's if we assume, for argument's sake, that God is the speaker. Now look at the next verse, where it says, and he is the one who created you from a single soul. So, a place of settlement and a place of storage, we have explained the verses. So here it says, we have explained the verses for a people. Here it is, underlined, for a people who know. But here, no, it says, we have explained the verses for a people who understand. Honestly, I don't really know exactly what the difference is between. We have explained the verses for a people who understand, and we have explained the verses for a people who know. What's the difference between understanding and knowledge? Honestly, I'm not really sure here. In any case, here the meaning is saying that God created you from a single soul. Who is that? That's Adam. Why didn't he say he created you from Adam and Eve? He said he created you from a single soul because even Eve, Adam's wife, was created from his rib. So, the established meaning here refers to the womb or wombs, and the repository is the solid idols, which is apparently the meaning that those who talk about the keys to the unseen, like Al-Ghazi, consider. All right, if you look here as well, you'll find that it says, okay, fine, it's in the third person. Count with me, okay? The one who created you is God, all right. And then it goes back and says the same thing again. We have explained in detail. All right, so God is talking about himself twice in the third person and once in the first person. And he is the one who sent down water from the sky, and with it we brought forth the growth of every kind of plant, and from it we bring forth green crops, from which we produce grain in clusters. And from the date palm, from its spats, come clusters hanging low, and gardens of grapes, and the olive and the pomegranate, similar yet different. Look at its fruit when it bears fruit and when it ripens. Surely in that are signs for people who believe. Let me tell you here that the meaning is saying that our Lord is the one who sent down water from the sky and brought forth with that water fresh green plants, like wheat and barley and the grains that are stacked on top of each other, like the ears of barley and rice. That's the point, and not just that. And he is the one who brought forth the palm trees or the trees with hanging fruits, like the date palms they used to have in the desert back in the day on the peninsula. And all these fruits, make up gardens of olives and pomegranates, which are the gardens. These gardens are the orchards. All right, and he says these gardens have similar leaves. Their leaves look alike, but the fruits and the taste are different. That's a very good point. Who's the source here? The source here is also Ma'alim al-Tanzil by al-Baghawi. Notice with me that he referred to himself in the third person twice. He says, and he is the one that's third person sent down again, third person. And then they go back to him. Pay attention with me 3 or 4 times. It says we brought forth, that's the first person pronoun, the plants of all things. So we brought forth. Again, the first person pronoun we bring forth 3 times. See, pay attention, we bring forth from it layered grain and things like that. Very good. So here, notice here, it's twice with the third person pronoun and 3 times with the first person pronoun. What's the wisdom behind that? Because if you come and tell me this is trivial, then you're just making fun of me, because neither the prophet called it trivial nor did the companions. The Arabs, after the Quran was compiled, maybe during the third Caliph Uthman or the fourth, I'm not sure, they're the ones who compiled the Quran, and the prophet passed away without interpreting it, and all the caliphs died without interpreting it, and no one ever mentioned any agreement at all. Nothing was issued by any of the caliphs or by the prophet. You see, this shifting of pronouns did not come from them. They never provided any interpretation for it at all. What is this? This is the issue. So is it reasonable that 500 years after the Quran was revealed, people like Al-Qurtubi, Al-Tabari, Al-Baghawi, Ibn Kathir, and all those others would come and say that this is trivial, or just accept it as such? Is it reasonable for us to apply or impose human standards on the sacred and define it for them? They defined it as trivial, meaning that God intended it to be trivial. Did God take? Did he take his words from the way the Arabs spoke? Is that the story here? And if that's the case, then we might as well consider this message to be for the Arabs only, not universal. I mean, if that's how it is, if you judge that the Arabs, every time I talk to you, you say the Arabs used to speak this way, and the Arabs used to understand things this way, and iltifat, rhetorical shift, was known among the Arabs. Let's just say it's a message for the Arabs, not for all people. What's the second point he's making? He says, pay attention here, Efe Akrajna. So we brought forth, see, pay attention here. I mean, I'm trying to keep the colored part colored and color Efe Akrajna. And then he says Efe Akrajna again. Honestly, I see this as repetition, really. And then he says Nukrij, we bring forth a third time. See what I mean? I'm telling you, look, that's the third time, right? If we remove these 2 that are underlined and read it like this, I'll leave it as is, just so I don't confuse you by removing or adding texts and all that. All right, if we read it like this, and he is the one who sent down water from the sky, and with it we brought forth the growth of every kind of plant, from which we bring forth greenery, and from it grains. So you just add and remove, taking out we brought forth, and putting we bring forth. You see, you remove 2 words and add a wa, and you'll find the sentence flows smoothly with you, without any lack or, without any flaw. There's nothing, so with it we brought forth the growth of every kind of plant, from which we bring forth greenery, and from it layered grains. It gives the same meaning. But let's put everything back the way it was, all right? So that was the real question. If we remove these 2 words, what will happen? If we, stop this repetition, what will happen? What flaw will occur in the text? Okay, also notice this. The word Efe Akrajna is in the past tense, and this word Efe Akrajna is also in the past tense, see? And then here, Nukrij, that's present tense. So why isn't it Kudra, green? So we brought forth from it grain, and they made the jinn partners with Allah, though he created them, and they falsely attributed to him sons and daughters without knowledge. Glory be to him, and exalted is he above what they describe. What's the issue here in verse 100? I hope I mentioned the source. I mean, in the previous verse, it's from Malam al-Tanzil. Okay, verse 100. Keep in mind that there were people who used to read this jinn with the kasra. I am magnifying you a little bit. And some people were reading it. What did the genie do? The jinn, the jinn, the jinn. 3 times. But be careful, these are very important readings. Sometimes it remains with the nominative case, raising the noon, and sometimes with the kasra of the noon. The current time in the Quran, the verse is opened with a shada or fatha on the letter noon. Very beautiful. Here, what is the word? They broke it. People read it. Be careful why I write it in Finnish, because we want to walk. And they broke. There are people who read it and read it, and they broke. And some people were reading it, and they broke it. Here it is, with a shada and a fatha and things like that. Where is the shada? Shada and fatha. And they broke it, and some people, I'm sorry, and they broke it. And there were people who read it and changed it, like I'll tell you the source, an episode. Don't worry. And they changed it, and they used to read it, these readings, all of this, that's very good talk. So sometimes they said Karku, Karku, just as it is in the Quran. And sometimes they said Karku, sometimes Karik, and sometimes they actually changed it exactly. And I'll tell you all the details and who said what in a moment. All right, so what's the reason for the revelation? The polytheists said that God is the one who creates. He is the creator of light, water, cattle, and livestock. And Iblis created darkness, wild beasts, snakes, and punishment. So this verse was revealed. See, that's what they did. They distorted, altered, and did things like that. Exactly. They made the jinn partners with God. What does it mean? The meaning of the verse is that the Arab polytheists claimed that the angels are the daughters of God, and the Jews claimed that Uzair is the son of God, and the Christians claimed that the Messiah is the son of God. See what I mean? That's what it means. Who said this? Where did all this come from? The recitation, the reason for revelation, and the meaning. It's also mentioned in Zad al-Mazir in Tafsir by Ibn al-Jawzi. Also, the question raised here says, and they made for Allah, not and they made for us. See, it's a third person pronoun. Stay with me, for Allah, partners of the jinn, and He created them. See, He created them, not we created them. No, He created them, and they fabricated or tore up, and they fabricated for Him. Pay close attention to this for Him. What are these? Third-person pronouns without knowledge. Again, a third-person pronoun. All of these are third-person pronouns. And the question being asked is, who is it that speaks about Allah using the third-person pronoun, the originator of the heavens and the earth? How could He have a child when He has no partner, and He created everything, and He is all-knowing of everything? Okay, very good. So, what's the issue here? The issue here is the first meaning. The meaning is that Allah is, what does it mean? The creator of the heavens and the earth. And it's impossible for Him to have a child because He doesn't even have a partner in the first place. A partner here means, for example, a wife. Yeah, not like a girlfriend. Sahiba here doesn't mean girlfriend. What does Sahiba mean? He doesn't have a wife. So how could He have a child? That's the point. He is the one who brought everything into existence or created everything in the first place. Who is saying this meaning? He is the one saying that. Al-Tibyan, the comprehensive book of Quranic sciences by Al-Tusi, also says the same thing. Here, Badi, He is Badi. Allah is Badi. Keep in mind, Badi here means creator, okay? The heavens and the earth, how could He hear? The pronoun is also referring to him. How could he have a child when he didn't have a partner? He doesn't have a wife or a sahiba, meaning a companion. And he created, see, it's not we created, no. And he created everything, and it's he again. All of these are third-person pronouns. Who is speaking about God in the third person? So let's move on to the next question. Here, it actually says, Badi al-Samawat wal-Ard. Keep in mind, Badi al-Samawat wal-Ard means creator of the heavens and the earth. So what's the point of saying creator of the heavens and the earth when right here it says he created everything, for example? Well, if he created everything, then aren't the heavens and the earth included in that, and that's it? Or what's the deal here? I mean, if he created everything, then the heavens and the earth are part of that. So what's the wisdom, or what's the reason for repeating this act of creation, really? Is it for emphasis, for example? That's the point. Then, the last real point in this verse, what does it say? It says, for example, and he created everything. All right, fine. I mean here, by God. Look, just take it easy. He created everything, and he is aware of everything. All right, fine. So he created everything, and he is aware of everything. I mean, honestly, I see that the Quran always tends toward concise language for the sake of eloquence, because it repeats everything again in the next verse twice. Actually, everything and aware of everything. And creator of everything is mentioned twice. How much? The whole situation. Come on. So here, what was the reason for this repetition in the verse? That is Allah, your Lord. There is no deity except him, creator of all things. So worship him, and he is the disposer of all things. All right, very good. Okay. Keep in mind here, too, but let's proceed in what way? In the very same way, we can say that the first meaning here is that the people who claim the Holy Quran is created often use this phrase as compelling evidence. Break time equals 0.5s/. Creator of all things. They considered the Quran to be among the created things. So, what is it included under? Under the phrase, creator of all things. Let me put it to you this way. The people who say the Quran is created use this verse as evidence. This creator, so they said the Quran is created because of that verse. That's the story, basically. All right. So, of course, that was the verse. The source was the Tafsir al-Hidayah ila Bulyu al-Nihaya by Maki ibn Abi Talib. Let's keep going in the same way as well. It says here, look, that is Allah. That is him. That's also a hidden pronoun. Allah. That is Allah here as well. Sir, again, what is he? Your Lord. There is no God but him. Pay attention to all these third-person pronouns. This is very serious talk. So, who is talking about Allah here? Creator. Keep in mind that the creator is also the same creator. Here it is, everything, so worship him. This is really beautiful talk. So, he is also a completely explicit pronoun. It's not hidden or anything, and he is the disposer of all things. Very good. So, who is speaking about Allah in the third person as well? Then, look here, what is he saying? What is he saying? He says, he is the creator of everything, just like the previous verse exactly. Here, I'll underline it like this, you see, and he is over all things, again, the same thing. You see, that's the verse. That's how it goes. Underline again, creator of everything. I want to understand, he says, created everything. Great. Honestly, I don't even know what to do anymore because we've got too many colors going on here. All right, he created everything. Here he goes, creator of everything. So what's the difference between created everything and creator of everything, right next to each other like that? We want to understand too. We have the right to ask. There you go. That's the issue. Isn't that considered repetition here? And he created everything, and here, creator of everything. And then before that, you tell me, he created the heavens and the earth, or originator of the heavens and the earth, and he is the creator. Well, yeah, here it is, originator of the heavens and the earth. And then he goes back again honestly, here in verses 101 and 102. If you imagine the extent of the repetition, really, this is something that needs to be looked at, something that needs explanation, something that needs attention. The source is the Tafsir al-Hidayah ila Bulyu al-Nihaya by Mackey. No vision can grasp him, but he grasps all vision. He is the subtle, the all-aware. Honestly, here too, the meaning is that there are people all al-Sunnah who say that God can be seen. Why? They use as evidence the verse that says, on that day, faces will be radiant, looking at their Lord. The Mutazilites, on the other hand, say that God cannot be seen. Who is the source here? It's Al-Wazifi Tafsir al-Quran by Sheikh Muhammad Sayyid Tantawi. The question here again is, who is speaking about God in the third person? He says, no vision can grasp him. Who is him? No vision can grasp him. Who is he? Who is God here? All of these are third-person pronouns. He perceives all vision. And pay attention to what? To all of this, this will be our fair question for every verse using the third-person pronoun. Who is speaking about God in the third person? And then, here's a real question. What does the subtle, the all-aware have to do with this verse? You tell me, say, no, it means. I mean, for example, when there is punishment, when there are problems, when there are things happening. Okay, we say he is the subtle, the all-aware, keep that in mind. But here, there's nothing that really calls for elevating God or anything like that. That's the point. Keep in mind, I don't see anything here that calls for elevating God or anything like that. So, what's the wisdom behind repeating vision here? Pay attention. No vision can grasp him. All right, fine. So, what if we say, and he perceives them, and just remove vision from the picture entirely? I'll just put everything back the way we started. Okay, there, we've removed it completely like that. No vision can grasp him, but he grasps all vision, and he is the subtle, the all-aware. What is it that will be perceived in this world? There has come to you enlightenment from your Lord. So whoever sees, it is for his own benefit, and whoever is blind, it is against himself. And I am not a guardian over you. This verse, it's not in the words of God. This verse wasn't said by God, just so you know. I'll tell you the source that says this. It's not just me. This verse is in the words of the prophet. Why? Because at the end, the verse says, and I am not a guardian over you. Pay attention. I here refers to Muhammad. Because God is the guardian over all people. Notice here, and I am not. This I does not refer to God. It refers to the prophet Muhammad. So this entire verse was spoken by the prophet. Because, pay attention, if God wanted to speak about himself, he would have said to Muhammad, say, let me bring you the text again. Say, I am not a guardian over you. He would have given him a command. He would have told him, say, just like we mentioned before. He would often say in 4, 5, or 6 verses in a row. If you remember in Surah Al-Anaam, and I mentioned this before, pay attention, so the command is clear. He tells him, say to them, O Muhammad, I am not a guardian over you. But here, he is speaking on his own, pay attention. It's Muhammad who said the verse, not God at all. You see what the idea is? So here, if we believe the source is. By the way, I have to tell you about the source. Let me look it up for you. The source here is Fath al-Qadir by al-Shawkani. That's the story. So tell me, what's the mechanism here? If we follow the source and say that the Prophet Muhammad said it himself, which actually makes sense. From my point of view, this verse is in the Prophet's own words, not God's. So what's the mechanism then? The Prophet would say it, then Gabriel would take it, go stamp it with the Prophet, then bring it down stamped by God, and deliver it back to the Prophet. He gave it to him to put it in the Quran. Or was it the Prophet who said, I'll put it in the Quran? Or did the Prophet say it, then God heard it from him, gave it to Gabriel, who then brought it down to the Prophet to put it in the Quran? So there are three possibilities. There isn't a fourth one. So, look, 1, the Prophet said the verse and put it in the Quran. That's one, just from himself, without God or anyone else involved. The second scenario is that the Prophet said it, God heard it, gave it to Gabriel, and Gabriel gave it to the Prophet, and it was revealed in the Quran. And the third scenario is that the Prophet said it and gave it to Gabriel. Gabriel took it up to God, God sealed it, and then sent it down to the Prophet to put it in the Quran. Say, and thus we diversify the signs so that they will say, the truth here is the recitation. Some people said that it used to be recited in two ways. One says, Darist, pay attention to me so you understand. Pay attention to what they were saying, folks. And the other group used to say Daresa like that. And I'll tell you the source, nice, so you don't just hear good. So that's 3 recitations. Here's the verse, and I included the revelation in it. I'm sorry, it's Darist. And what were people saying? Daresa, not Darist as it appears in the Quran. No, here's the verse. All right, Abdullah ibn Mas'udi, and he was the most important person who used to recite and write the Quran. I mean, he was really significant. He didn't like to include or recite that Bab at all. It wasn't here like this. Let's clarify it right away. Who is that? Abdullah ibn Mas'udi. Let's return the verse to the Vav as we said. What's this? Hey Jamila, whose recitation was that reported by? By Bar al-Ulum. It's still referenced by him. Okay, what about the meaning? The meaning comes from another source, from Al-Fairuzabadi. What does the meaning say? The meaning says, now pay attention. Pay attention. God is saying to him, thus we explain the signs here. It doesn't mean so that they say you have studied, but rather so that they do not say you have studied. So that they don't say that you have studied. Here, studied means learned, so that the polytheists of Mecca wouldn't say that the Prophet learned from Ibn Faqiha. There was a man named Ibn Faqiha, apparently an educated person. God revealed this verse to him. He told him, we clarify these signs so that they don't say. So what does "and so that they say" mean? Here it is, and I crossed out the wa and... Sorry, but where is the wa and in "and so that they say"? Here it is, and so that they say, what it actually means is so that they don't say, which is the opposite. In other words, it's so they won't say anything. That's the exact meaning. We are revealing these verses, O Muhammad, so that Quraysh won't claim that you learned from the Meccan nobleman Ibn Faqiha. I'm sorry, of course, for taking so long, because 10 verses is a lot, and it's hard to keep each verse to just 3 minutes. Some of them have a lot of details. Thank you all very much.